Awesome. Let's go to the Sunshine State now. And I got to tell you, Coach Kelly, John Frenzy here, Hall of Fame writer, broadcaster, says, you got to introduce me to Mike Kelly. I've never met Mike Kelly before.
Yes, I have, Mike. How are you doing?
Now that he sees your face, you guys have met. That sounds right.
10 years ago, 15 years ago in Winnipeg. Yeah.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. It's quite amazing that, that tonight would have been a game with the Bombers, because my first game in the CFL was in 1992 in Taylor Field. And, and we had a huge lightning storm. Never saw lightning like that in my life. And the power went out in the stadium, and we had to go back in the locker room for an hour, and then came back out and finished the rest of the preseason game. And some of my greatest CFL memories happened in Taylor Field. I just it was Kelly Green right now, because I know I'm talking to people in Saskatchewan, so I'm not dumb. And I wear this shirt when I travel from Winnipeg to Calgary. I put it on in Brandon, make sure I get gas in Moose Jaw, and then I take it off when I get to Medicine Hat.
Smart. You are a smart guy. And by the way, for the viewers that don't know, Mike Kelly, 2 tours with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with the Eagles in between, offensive assistant and quarterbacks coach, back to the CFL with the Edmonton Eskimos and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers coach at San Francisco State, from Waterbury, Connecticut originally. And I got to say this, Coach, I know you're watching the CFL real closely down there in Florida. With all these weather delays, and even the NFL's had them where they pause the games now and they don't pick them up, they made you guys playing some pretty wild stuff back in the day. The game really has changed, hasn't it?
Yeah. I always go back to the '94 Eastern Division final against Baltimore, and it was about -30, and it felt like your face was getting sandblasted, but it was little tiny. And that, to me, that was the greatest football game I still have ever been in, even though the Bombers, we lost 14-12. Had Matt Dunnigan's pass not hit the crossbar to Gerald Wilcox, who was wide open on the play, we'd have gone up 19-7, and we'd have gone to our 3rd Grey Cup in a row and 4th in 5 years. And but yeah, we've played in crazy weather. I saw Doug Flutie's hands so cold that he couldn't take a snap from the shotgun or underneath the center. So, Minnesota. I watch the Vikings play now. They're supposed to play in muck and dirt and mud and snow. You don't play indoors. I like it outside.
Well, there are varying opinions on that, as you know. It actually surprises me as an offensive guy that you wouldn't want pristine conditions.
Well, I think it. You see all these passing records now, and I'm not taking anything away from his career indoors or Drew Brees indoors. I just think it takes a special person, and all you got to do is talk to, back in the day when I would spend time learning from Ronnie Lancaster, talking about what they used to do to prepare themselves to play in that type of conditions. And Hugh Campbell telling me about, catching buckets of balls that were soaked in water. It adds to the element of the game to be a pristine game. If you want to play a pristine game, wear shorts and dance around in sneakers on a wood floor. Football's not that way.
Mike, John Lynch here. What about football this year? I mean, there's a lot of concerns whether the NFL is going to play, whether the CFL is going to play. I've never seen anything like this. Have you?
No, I don't think any of us have. My concern is that as soon as the locker room gets infected, it's a game, and that's what I'm afraid of. But I certainly understand that tremendous precautions will be made. I'd love to see some form of a modified season. We can absolutely not lose the CFL. It's in the fabric of our country, and I say our because I spend so much time still in Winnipeg, and I had 2 daughters born in Winnipeg, and I have some of my closest friends, and we can't lose it. We can't. We have to find a way to make it survive. I think maybe there's several different ways you can go, and looking at a revised business structure. There's got to be answers. A different way of handling the salary management system. There are answers there, and there's smart people that are looking into fan, and I really hope that some sensibility will come. But we can't lose the Canadian Football League. It absolutely cannot happen. By some measure, we have to make it survive. And if I could be a part of the discussion, I'd love to be.
Oh, good. Then I'll call you after, because there is a groundswell being mounted, but we just don't really know where we are right now. You mentioned the salaries. John Ohm is watching in Winnipeg, and he asks you, could you ever envision an XFL type salary structure in the CFL, just with fixed, finite amounts per player so you know your costs?
Well, when I took over the Bombers, I took over when we had that change, and we were almost $400,000 over the salary cap, and when the season ended, we only ended up with $40,000 over the cap. Now we still went over, so they got fined, but we cut $360,000 out during doing it. It took a lot of help with some really smart people along the line, with Lyle Bauer and John Murphy and Ross Hodgkinson, and we got it done. But I've always put value on certain positions, and I do think that if a model was at least explored where a set salary was paid per game, I think it makes more sense for the CFL myself. And an example would be of maybe $12,000 a game. You play the positional players $7,500 to $8,000 a game, and the kickers get $6,500 to $7,000. And it's across the board. Then you know what your costs are. You have a practice squad, with a set amount that they'll make per week. And I just think that it would save a lot of the headaches that the CFL perhaps inflicts on themselves.
Well, here's a question for you that is a big topic up here, and nobody can really agree on it. Revenues are plummeting, obviously, so salaries may not be what they even are now in the CFL, let alone the big leagues. Will we have as many American players willing to come up here? Because it's not a lot now for an American rookie, as you know. How badly do these guys want to play? Like, if the salaries do go down in the CFL, and I think that they will, what does that do to the American player coming up here?
Yeah, I think there's such a desire to continue to play the game, with that hope. Most of those kids have the hope of, a U.S. player. Most of them have the hope of eventually playing in the National Football League. And that's a wonderful thing. And a lot of them have, the motive of making generational money, for their family. And I get all that. But guys want to continue to play. And a lot of involved with the Canadian Football League, we find out, holy smokes, this quality of life is just outstanding. And I wish more guys embraced it in the manner of a Matt Donovan did, by living full time up there and really getting interwoven with the community and understanding, the culture. And it's such a wonderful place to live. And guys would find out that their dollar goes a whole lot farther and just settle in there and be a part of the community. And one of the things that I tried to basically reinstate in 2009 in Winnipeg is that I was encouraging players to stay there and trying to talk to board members about hiring our players in the off season, so that we could entice guys to come up and say, hey, look, you're going to make, let's just say, $60,000 playing football. You are an accounting major. and we've got a position for you in the off season at a local accounting firm here where you're going to make another 50 grand. So now it's $110,000 package. Stay up here, make a six-figure life for yourselves, and really get interwoven with the community. And I still believe in that. I don't think it's a ridiculous notion.
You're right, and that's what the CFL was built on. We've gotten, for whatever reason, away from that, and it needs to come back to that. That's why CFL 3.0 will look a lot more like it used to look, I think, than what it is now. Producer Clark and I both have the same question for you, Coach Kelly. What's your best Donovan McNabb story?
That's a good one. I gotta, if I can see that picture right there. That's right.
Go full
over
screen,
my
guys.
head here. If I can,
yeah, we got
there
it.
we go.
Okay.
All right, that's me and Donovan.
Oh, yeah, over
right,
here.
right.
Eh?
So I think right above my head there.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. So anyway, all right. So Donovan breaks his ankle against the I believe it was the Cardinals, and Donovan's a big man. He's thick, and on Thursdays it was the rookies had to bring in boxes and boxes of hot Krispy Kreme, and Donovan was putting Krispy Kremes on his fingers like a ring and would eat the donut. Well, we got him on the scale, and I think he weighed like 253, 263, somewhere in there. And they were like, nope, no more donuts for you. So the next Thursday that rolled around, the rookies are bringing in all these boxes of hot Krispy Kreme donuts. And here comes Donovan, and he's got a bowl of fruit feet, like he's going back to his prison cell. He's like, oh. And so everybody's just all over him about they're eating donuts and he's got to eat fruit. So, but he was an awful lot of fun. Coming into my office, before meetings and wanting to take a quick look at, everything that was going to be installed that day. So he had a precursor to what was going to go in, because the amount of information came with was astronomical. And, the retention that those players have to have in order to get through a game, because Andy Reid believes that every single play stands on its own merit. And so once you run a play, if we ran a play 8 to 12 times in the course of a season that had the same personnel, same blocking scheme, same pattern attached to it, that was a lot. Most of the time it was one and done. It was gone. You never saw it again.
I got to ask you, just as the video unfreezes there, it's going good. Rider fans, I love them, but I see how they're annoying to everybody else across the country. Eagles fans, highly annoying. Do you see a similarity between the two?
No. No. Philadelphia is vicious. I was with the Redskins. You've got to get your silent count tuned up this week. And Steve was like, Coach, we played in the Snake Pit. We played in Death Valley. There won't be any louder. Well, as I said, these are different fans. It's a different deal. And so as the bus is pulling into Lincoln Financial, there are thousands of fathers that are waving to their sons, come with me, and they all start putting up their middle. I'm talking thousands. And and I was sitting right behind Coach Spurrier, and he turns around, he looks at me and goes, well, I'll be damned. And we proceeded to just get our hats handed to us. And he had a different appreciation for an Eagles fan at that point, because they really get on you. Now, I told you some of my best, memories are in Taylor Field. And in 2009, beat in the entire league in 2009 was the Rough Riders. And they were just better than us in the trenches. That's really what it came down to. The Riders were really tough in 2009 in the trenches. And so I'm sitting on the bench in Taylor Field with Cal Murphy before the game. And we're talking about how great it is to play there. And he says, you should run out on the field with one of those watermelon helmets on. And I said, absolutely. That would be, they're allowed to have fun anymore in pro sports. They're just not allowed because they'll get destroyed on social media. And, and I get that as well as anybody. But let's not take ourselves too seriously. And I was going to write, I love you, Mike Kelly, on it. And then as I ran out onto the field, I was going to throw it up in the stands behind our bench and just let the whole stadium lose their minds. Let's all have some fun doing this. Well, so Cal sent somebody to get sitting on my chair because Taylor Field was so plush for the visiting locker room at those days. It was a real privilege to hang my clothes up on a 16-penny nail. And so they put that plastic helmet on a chair, and I knew it was there, and I was going to sign it and run out. And after I addressed the team, I came back and the helmet was gone. So somebody thought that wouldn't be any fun, and exploded, and we would have added to the fun of the whole thing of Labor Day and Banjo Bowl and just another thing to enjoy.
I think I saw a picture of you somewhere in that lid. I'm going to try and find it. I do believe you had it on your head, and a photo exists. By the way, the 2009 Riders, I think, is the greatest Rider team of all time, but they did not win a Grey Cup. By the way, all the viewers writing in, Wayne and Victoria says, what I love about this show is getting to see the guys' real personalities. Pat in Winnipeg, Pat McKetta says, I'm loving your interview with Coach Kelly. And I'll end it with this, because we're going to bring you on again real soon, because I haven't even got into what I wanted to talk about with you, Coach. Was the media just seeing the clips on TSN of you when you coached the Bombers? I'm like, this guy's a monster. And then we spent that night together at that football fundraiser in Winnipeg, remember, with the sports doctor and Blackie and those guys?
Right.
That's where you and I became friends. I'm like, he's nothing like what TSN's portraying him to be, which really I thought was unfair. But it's been great to catch up since, Coach, and that's what's great about this show.
Well, I'm a fan of you, and I'm a fan of people who, I don't care how you get knocked down. I care about how you get back up. And that's where my affinity comes from. And I really, love seeing what this show is doing and how it's growing, and I enjoy it nearly every single day. I don't know if you can tell that I'm on here, but, I'm on quite, that whole thing in 2009, with the media, I got a few people out of their comfort zone. And that's really what it came down to. And, I know, we were supposed to talk about balance here today and everything. But I'll kind of tie the whole thing in together for us here, if you could give me a couple of minutes. One is, I think the CFL is the greatest work environment that a coach could ever have. And a lot of my problems are self-imposed. I know that, and my drive and where I wanted to be and the type of success I want to have. But when I was the head coach of the Bombers, both of my daughters were playing high school basketball outside of Philadelphia. And so when I would go to the game, 2 of the 5 girls on the floor were mine. And when I would be back there, they would stay with me for an extended weekend. And so one night the phone rings, and we're on Eastern time. It's 10:30 at night, and I end up doing an hour-long phone interview. Now, I know I talk way too much. I get it. All right. But the questions kept coming, and I kept answering them. When I got off the phone, the girl said to me, Dad, is this what it's going to be now? Like every time that you're home, we're going to be sitting here watching TV and you're going to be on the phone? And I said, no. So media relations director of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I said, I know damn well that Andy Reid is not taking calls at home at 10:30 at night. What's your policy? And so he laid it all out to me. Then I called Ron Rivera, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers at the time, and I said, what's your media policy? And he laid it all out to me. And then that was the media policy that I imposed with the Bombers. And so it wasn't like it was some ridiculous restrict now than what I wanted. But it got some people out of their comfort zone, and the rest is history. It's over and it's done with. I still consider it, one of my greatest privileges in life, that I got to be the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And regardless of any of the outside stuff, I know what we were doing inside the building was correct. We still had a couple of more things to get done, and we had plans to do that. But that is the greatest honor of my life, and no one can ever take that away from me. And how I was portrayed is how I was portrayed. But like Lyle Bauer used to say, you poke the bear too many times, sooner or later he's going to growl at you. And I took the bait a little bit.
Well, here's an honor. Joe Lazito's watching in Long Island. He says, oh, boy, Coach Kelly's going to give Frenzy a run for his money for Rockstar of the Day. Watching from New York today. And I think it's Roger Inglis. He says, been the same guy I have known since he was 22. I don't know if it's Roger Ingles or Inglis. I think you say it Inglis. But your fan, pardon?
It's Ingles.
It's Ingles? Okay. I've heard
Roger.
it. Yeah.
Roger and I had our first coaching jobs together in 1980 at Ridgedale High School in Marion County, Ohio. And then in 1986, he recommended me to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio Wesleyan University, and he was the head baseball coach. And then he's been a lifelong friend. I've known him now basically my entire adult life, and he's had a wonderful career himself as a head college baseball coach at Ohio Wesleyan and an athletic director at Wesleyan and Capital University. And he's if anybody knows me, Roger would be one of the guys.
Okay, well, Coach, not surprised. We are 10 minutes over time, so we better roll. But next time hey, it's good. It's good. We'll have that balance. And it's me too. But we'll have that balanced discussion next time, next month. All right. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for all of this, and stay cool down there in Florida.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, we got 20 inches of rain in the last 10 days here. It's been crazy. And send my best to Milt Stiegel. I was his first coach, and of course Arash left me right as I got the job in Winnipeg. I would have loved to have his demeanor and experience there in 2000. But yeah, Milt's special to me because I got to coach him his first 2 years in the CFL.
All right, Coach. Stay safe down there.
Okay. All right. See everybody later.
Coach Mike Kelly joining us, and the first I'm hoping of many visits.
What he said about the CFL having to save it, I mean, that was just great, eh?
We got to save that clip. It absolutely can't die. Yeah. You're right. Frenzy, we got a break for hour 2. Thanks for all this.
Okay. Been a pleasure again.
You betcha.
Okay, buddy.
Morley Scott, Milt Stiegel in hour 2. We'll be right back. It's Rod Pedersen Show, Facebook Live, Game Plus TV Network, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.